Fans are shocked, jaws are dropping, and social media is exploding with rumors that could change everything for Kirk, Rasheeda, and even Mendeces. In a stunning twist, young Job accused Rasheeda of hiding a pregnancy. Not just any pregnancy, but allegedly with none other than Mendes himself. Kirk Frost and young Jock, two of Atlanta's most notorious reality stars, found themselves locked in a heated battle that turned the entire love and hip-hop world upside down once tempers flared and secrets were revealed. The tension between Kirk, Frost, and young Jock began at a casual party where the two men were at a mutual friend's event. At first, everything seemed normal. Drinks were flowing, music was playing, and everyone was having a good time. However, what started as a private argument turned into a public spectacle that nobody could control, leaving the family divided, friendships shattered, and the entire city buzzing about the scandal nobody ever thought they'd witness. Did Rasheeda really betray Kirk? Was Mandy's involved? How will Kirk Frost survive this vicious blow from someone he once called a brother? Stay tuned because what you're about to hear will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. As the evening wore on, some people noticed that young Jock was looking at Rasheeda awkwardly, almost as if he had something to say but was holding it back. Kirk initially disregarded it, assuming that Jock might have had too much to drink, but everything changed when Jock began talking louder to his friends in a way that made the entire room go quiet. Jock then raised his voice and asked, "Do y'all know what Rasheeda's secret is?" The room fell silent, and Kirk instantly turned to Jock. The atmosphere became tense in an instant, and Kirk tried to dismiss it, but everyone in the room became curious. She didn't seem to notice at first, but when her name was mentioned, everyone's eyes were on her. There was a brief pause before Joe spoke again, this time in a more provocative tone, saying, "You think everything's perfect?" "Ha? Well, it's not. Rasheed is concealing something significant, and you have no idea that Kirk's patience was running low." He approached Joke, trying to remain composed, and said, "If you've got something to say, just say it. Don't keep throwing hints around." Joke, grinning, responded, "All right, I'll just say it. Your wife is pregnant." But the real question is, who's the father? Kirk's face turned as white as a sheet, and he froze for a moment, not knowing what he had just heard. His eyes widened as he asked, "What the hell are you talking about?" Jock leaned back, his tone, now casual but laced with malice. "I'm not making this up. Rasheeda's been hanging out with Mendes a lot when you've been busy with your projects, and now it looks like she's got a little surprise coming, but you wouldn't know." The whole room was stunned, with everyone standing there staring at Joke, and some discreetly taking out their phones. Rasheeda, who had been talking to friends, turned as soon as she saw Kirk's expression, and Jock standing there with a devilish grin. She rushed over in concern and asked, "What's going on?" Kirk didn't even acknowledge her at first, his eyes still fixed on the joke, and he spoke through clenched teeth. "Are you really spreading lies like this? You think you can just come in here and ruin my family joke?" He just laughed, shaking his head. Kirk could hardly control himself. He slammed his fist on a nearby table, sending the glass crashing to the floor with a deafening sound. Rasheeda's eyes widened as she moved between the two men. "Joker, you're too blind to see what's happening right under your nose. You're out of your mind. There's no baby, there's no affair. Why are you making these lies up?" Joker stepped back, putting his hands up in mock surrender. "No lies here, Rasheeda. You think people haven't noticed Mindy sees your late-night texts and secret meetings? Come on, don't act like you don't know what's going on." Rasheeda shook her head, clearly upset. "I don't have any proof," she said. He paused for a moment, allowing the tension to build. "And he could even show you some texts if you want me. To get really specific, let's just say I have all the receipts." Kirk couldn't contain his emotions any longer, and he shoved Jock so hard that he stumbled backward and crashed into a table, knocking over drinks. People rushed to get out of the way, but Kirk wasn't finished. His emotions were running wild. He was angry, confused, and hurt all at once. Rasheeda tried to calm him down by saying, "Please listen to me, Kirk. There is no affair, there is no baby, you're letting Joe get in your head, and that's all this is." Kirk ignored her and turned to face Jock, his fists clenched. "You're really going to come into my house and destroy everything just because you're bored and you want to ruin my family's life? he said with a smug smile. "I'm not the one ruining your family. I'm just the messenger. You've got some serious things to sort out with Rasheeda. I'll help you see it." The tension in the room was unbearable, and Rasheeda, who was now crying, tried to step in again, but Kirk was too far gone. "Stay out of this, Rasheeda. I'm done. I need some answers from you, Joke, and I'm not going to stop until I get them." Jock raised his hands in mock surrender, saying, "Fine, ask all the questions you want, but the truth is already out there, Kirk. You're just too late to see it." Security moved in to separate the two men, leaving the room in chaos with people talking about what they had just witnessed. Some were still recording, while others were attempting to comfort Rasheeda. The night had begun as the tension in the room gradually subsided. The damage had already been done. The seeds of doubt had been planted and were growing rapidly, and Kirk's mind was racing as he stormed off the premises, refusing to even look back at Rasheeda. The hurt, anger, and betrayal he felt were nearly overwhelming. The night had started as just another party, but now it felt like his entire world was collapsing before him. The celebration had swiftly turned into a nightmare. The questions that lingered were whether Rasheeda was actually expecting Mendy's child, whether Jock was telling the truth, and, most importantly, whether Kirk would ever be able to forgive her if he discovered that his worst fears were true. Rasheeda still clear. The argument went on for what seemed like hours, but Rasheeda finally tried to reach him, but she pulled out her phone and showed him the texts between her and Mendez. Kirk looked at the texts, his eyes narrowing as he read the conversation. There was a moment of silence, and he looked up at Rasheeda, his face conflicted, not knowing what to believe anymore. It was then that Jock entered the room. He had been standing outside listening in on their conversation for some time, and now he saw the ideal opportunity to strike. What's the problem? The guys were still trying to convince Kirk that there was no baby on the way, but Joke's voice was dripping with sarcasm, stepped forward and said, "I'm just saying that the truth will come out eventually. You can't hide things like this forever." Kirk turned to face Jock, his eyes burning with rage. "You need to stay out of this, Joke. You've already caused enough damage. Don't." But Jock wasn't done. "I know you've got a right to be mad, but you also need to open your eyes and see what's really going on." Rasheeda shot a glare at Jock, her frustration boiling over. "I don't care what you think. You know you're just trying to cause trouble, because you have nothing else to do." Jock left, but his words lingered in the air. It was evident that the damage had been done, Kirk's trust had been broken, and Rasheeda was left alone in the wake of the chaos Jock had created. The future of their relationship was uncertain, and the lies and rumors were far from over. The next few days felt like a blur for Rasheeda, who hardly slept, her mind constantly racing with thoughts of Kirk's joke and the devastating accusations that continued to haunt her every time she checked her phone there. "Perhaps you have something to hide." In the meantime, Kirk's silence was deafening. He had hardly spoken to her since the heated argument that morning, and every time she left a message, it went unanswered. Rasheeda was devastated because she had never seen Kirk this cold and distant before. He had always been the one to comfort her and stand by her no matter what. There were messages from friends and family asking about what had happened, but no one seemed to believe her no matter how hard she tried to explain. The rumors had taken on a life of their own, and no matter how much she tried to clear her name, it felt like everything was slipping further and further out of her control. In a desperate attempt to find answers, Rasheeda turned to young Jock, even though he had contributed to the issue. She wanted to know why he had chosen to escalate things this way, and why he had chosen to drag her name through the mud. One evening, she decided to confront him, calling him up. Her voice was shaky as she said, "Joke, I need to talk to you. Has gone far enough. You've got to tell me why you're doing this. What's your problem with me?" Jock picked up almost immediately. Rasheeda shot back her frustration, saying, "I'm not the one making things up. You're the one spreading lies, and it's destroying everything." The Jock was silent for a moment, as if he was thinking about what she had said. But then he sighed and said, "You want to know the truth? Fine. You think I'm just doing this for no reason. Everyone knows about you and Mendez, and you think Kirk doesn't know it. He's just too blinded to see it." Rasheeda froze as the words hit her like a punch in the gut. "You're out of your mind. Joke, there's nothing between Mendez and me. We're just co-parents, that's it." Jock laughed darkly. "I've seen the way you two interact, and I've seen the way you look at each other. You can lie to yourself, Rasheeda, but you can't lie to me. I've been around long enough to know when something's up, and Kirk is too, wrapped up in his own ego to see the truth. He's just waiting for the right moment to explode. And when he does, everything will come crashing down. Rasheeda's mind was reeling. She had never felt so betrayed and alone. She took a deep breath to try to calm herself when he said, "This needs to end, Joke. I won't let you tear my life apart. You need to stop with these lies. It's over." Joke's tone softened, but only slightly. "I'm not the one tearing your life apart, Rasheeda. That's all on you." Were there any signs that she had missed? The idea of losing everything she had worked so hard for was unbearable, and the rumors were only making things worse. Later that day, Rasheeda found herself at a crossroads. She needed to reach Kirk, but he was still refusing to take her calls. In the end, she decided to write him a letter because it was the only way she could think of to express everything. Rasheeda hung up the phone feeling more lost than ever. The conversation with Jock had only left her with more questions, more doubt and more confusion. She thought she knew what was happening, but now it felt like everything was slipping away, and the worst part was that she wasn't sure if she could fix it. "I don't know where to begin, but here we are, and I want you to know from the bottom of my heart that I have never and will never betray you. What Joke is saying isn't true. There's nothing between me and Mendez. I need you to believe that I understand if you're angry, but please don't let destroy everything we've worked for." That had been weighing on her heart as she sat down to write. The words flowed easily, but every sentence felt like a stab to her heart. She signed the letter with a trembling hand and put it in an envelope. As she looked at it, she felt a wave of despair wash over her. Would Kirk even read it? Would he believe her? Or had Jock's words already damaged his mind beyond repair? As she walked to her car, she was carrying a heavy burden in her chest, unable to shake the feeling that things might never be the same again. She was beginning to lose hope that they could ever mend their relationship. The damage was already done, and she wasn't sure how to undo it. Meanwhile, Kirk was at home, staring at his phone, where he was staring at Rasheeda's messages that had been coming in, but he couldn't bring himself to read them. Rasheeda had always been his rock, but now everything felt so uncertain that he didn't know who to trust, and the silence between Kirk and Rasheeda grew deeper as the days passed. The unresolved tension between them hung in the air, suffocating them both, and as the rumors continued to swirl, it seemed like everything was falling apart. Jock had planted the seed, and now it was growing inside him. The doubts, suspicions, and fears. Everything was spinning out of control. The days passed, and Rasheeda began to feel increasingly overwhelmed by the chaos around her. Her life had gone from feeling secure to an endless spiral of rumors, accusations, and emotional turmoil. Kirk's silence was nearly intolerable. Every day without communication felt like a weight on her chest, and she couldn't understand why he wouldn't just talk to her or give her a chance to explain herself. The hurt from his coldness was almost worse than the accusations themselves, but even in her case, in her darkest moments, Rasheeda couldn't let go of her love for Kirk. She had spent years building a life with him, and no matter what, she couldn't just walk away from it all. However, the more time that went by, the less hopeful she became. Was it too late? Had the damage already been done? One evening, while browsing through her phone, she saw a message from an unknown number. Her heart skipped a beat, and she opened it right away. It was a brief text, but it sent shivers down her spine. Attached to the message, but she didn't need to know who sent it because she knew it was a joke, and that his words had begun to haunt her even when she thought she had control over the situation. "You've been living in your own little world, Rasheeda, but the truth always comes out, and now it's coming for you." Rasheeda's hands trembled as the weight of his words hit her. "You don't know what it's like to sacrifice everything for the people you love, and you think I've had it easy, but you have no idea what I've been through." Dot's eyes narrowed as he leaned forward. Jealousy. Don't flatter yourself. It isn't about jealousy. This is about the truth. Rasheeda stood up, her fists clenched at her sides. Joke stood up as well, his expression hardening, saying, "You can't fix this, Rasheeda. It's already too late. The damage has been done, and if you don't fix things soon, there won't be anything left to save." Rasheeda left the cafe feeling as though she was leaving the nightmare. She wasn't sure how much more she could take of the accusations, the lies, and the constant pressure. It was all too much. I'm done, joke. I'm done with this. If you think you can destroy me, you're wrong. The road ahead was uncertain, and the future seemed darker than ever. But one thing was clear. Rasheeda wasn't ready to give up just yet. She would fight for her relationship with Kirk no matter how difficult it was. As she drove home, the weight of the situation continued to press on her chest. She had to find a way to fix this. She couldn't give up on her family. But how could she repair what had been broken and get Kirk to trust her again after everything that had happened? Work things out despite the shocking accusations and betrayal. As for Young, what is his true goal? Is he genuinely trying to help? Or is he just trying to destroy everything in his path? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Do you think Rasheeda can mend things with Kirk, or has the serious damage already been done, and will Joke's manipulation tactics finally tear them apart, or will they find a way to get through this storm? If you want to keep up with all the drama, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more jaw-dropping celebrity news. You won't want to miss the next twist in this story. Trust us, it's going to get even more bizarre. The alerts, so you don't miss the most recent information on all the most scandalous stories. Please share your thoughts, and as usual, we value your